So good evening and welcome to our third meet and greet. My name is Charles Friel and I'm the program director at the University of Virginia. This is our third session and I think a lot of us are getting to know each other, and that's really the purpose of all of these. As we talked about from the very beginning, we had three sessions with three different themes, and the first two we focused on the operative experience of living in Charlottesville in the first one. The second one we focused on our research years and our professional development and our educational philosophies. And if you joined us, that's great. If you missed it, we've actually recorded these sessions and they're available on our website. And we welcome you to look at those at your leisure. Today we're going to focus on probably the most important thing, which is our culture. And as part of that, what are we doing to make sure that we're a diverse group so that we can achieve excellence? And I have two guests today. We have Dr. Annika Sharon, who is leading our efforts in the diversity efforts in our department, and Dr. Marky Fleming, who is a resident who is also be a key component of that. And if it's okay with you, I'm just going to give them a moment to introduce themselves and explain who they are and what the roles are for the department. Dr. Sharon?
Hi, my name is Annika Sharon, and I've been at the University of Virginia now for 18 years on the faculty. I'm a breast surgeon clinically, and then my administrative roles in the department include being vice chair for faculty development and being our diversity facilitator for the school.
Hi, everyone. So excited that you were able to join us today. My name is Marky Fleming. I am a fourth-year resident, currently in my second year of lab doing research. And I sit on the surgery department's diversity council. And then at a GME trainee level, I'm also the former president for the House Staff Council for Diversity and Inclusion.
So I think we've got some great resources here, and let's just go on with our presentations. Now, I always have to check. Kristen, am I now sharing the right slideshow?
Yes.
All right. So I start with the same slide every week, and as we said, we have a program aim, and that's to train future surgical leaders, and we're going to focus on developing you as a skilled surgeon, and we're going to focus on your educational development and for you to be an exceptional researcher. And that really is our program aim. But if we're going to accomplish that and we're going to do it well, we have to do it in an environment that is both collegial, but also to achieve excellence diverse. And that's going to be the focus of today's discussion. So let's talk about the events of August 12th in 2017. The truth is, at that point, I had been program director for literally 6 weeks. And this was a pretty dramatic event. And it was a challenging and difficult day for us. At that time, I was actually in a hotel in Chicago, believe it or not. So I was watching it on television and feeling, a bit guilty, in fact, that I wasn't there. And, I had several reactions when I was sitting in that hotel room. The first was pride, that I saw all these events happening right on our doorstep. And our residents were there taking care of people. They were professional, and these were people from all walks of life, and some that, quite frankly, were hostile to us. And yet they did it. They did it, and they did it with a professional way. They did it with expertise. And so there was a tremendous amount of pride. My second one was just dismay. I have to admit, I didn't think things like that would happen in this day and age in 2017 at the time. And, I obviously wasn't thinking about it the right way because other people weren't surprised, but I was. And then there was an issue of awareness. And, initially, there was a lot of people who said, this wasn't us. This wasn't Charlottesville. This was outsiders that came into our town. And so what did we do? And what did I do? We went to a lot of town halls and we had a lot of discussions. And it became clear to me that, I was wrong, that there's issues of racism and issues of systemic racism exist everywhere. And unfortunately, even in our beloved Charlottesville. Now, in 2017, that might have felt a little bit unique. I think in this past year, we're now realizing that we were right. They exist everywhere. But we have been facing these discussions in a real way for the past 3 years. And we came together as a department and we really focused on these issues. And I think we've been really talking about them and making them part of who we are for the past 3 years. And so this is just a picture of our incoming class. And I hope we can appreciate that we've been successful with those endeavors. And but I really want at this time to allow Dr. Sharon to really kind of focus on some of the issues, what we've done as a department, and then we'll let Dr. Fleming kind of address the residency itself, but also what we've done as an institution for our residents and whatnot. So Dr. Sharon, I think we'll let you take the lead now.
Great. Well, again, thank you all for joining us today. Just like Dr. Friel mentioned, I'd like to talk about what the department's been doing in the realm of diversity and inclusion. So go ahead. So first, these are the 3 key responsibilities that I think the department has. One is a formal commitment to diversity, inclusion, and equity. The second is building awareness of unconscious bias on an individual level. And then thirdly, addressing systematic bias on an organizational level. So first, let's start with what does the department look like? So I'll present some basic faculty demographics. We have approximately 50 faculty, mostly clinical, but also some research faculty in our department. About a quarter of our faculty are female. And what I am showing in this chart is not only our numbers, but then also what the comparison is for UVA departments overall, which is 37% female, and then what the comparison is nationally to other surgery departments. And there, that is about 26% women. And these data come from 2019 AAMC data. The next, whoops, go back 1 slide, sorry. Then in terms of underrepresented minority, our faculty is about 8% self-identified as underrepresented minority. That compares to 5% for other UVA departments and 6% for general surgery departments nationally. And I should state that underrepresented minority on both of these 2 slides is specifically defined as American Indian, Black or African American, Latino, or Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander. This is now our categorical residents. There's 34 categorical residents, 14 of whom are women, for about 41%, and 11 self-identify as underrepresented minority, about 32%. Below there, I give you some comparative numbers, again, from the AAMC and the ERIS process, and very recent data showing that about 41% of general surgery residents these days are women. And that represents the applicant pool. For underrepresented minorities, again, using the same definition that I just described, 13.5% of medical students in the US are underrepresented minorities and represent about 16% of the general surgery applicants. The upper end of that range is if one were to also include the AAMC data for people who classified themselves as either other, multiple race, or unknown race. Okay. So what are some of our initiatives? So one, we have a departmental diversity and inclusion plan, and we've had that since 2017, actually before August 2017. We have a diversity and inclusion council, which Marky mentioned. And this is, in the spirit of inclusivity, open to any faculty or resident who wants to participate. Our mission is to define and collect key performance measures to identify targets for positive change. And then secondly, to assist in the development and evaluation of diversity and inclusion initiatives. And the organization is intended to be very nimble and to be able to respond to needs of the department in the D&I realm. So I'd like to give you one example of each of those 2 missions. So first, an example for targets for positive change. We looked back at our external speakers, so our invited speakers who came and gave grand rounds to our department and were our visiting professors over the last 5 years. And we had 64 speakers external to the department. 20 or 31% were women, and 8 or 13% were underrepresented minorities. The great majority, 75%, were relatively senior and were full professors at the time of their visit. We also looked at other factors such as surgical subspecialty, common topic categories, and that's what I've presented here. But what looking at this data allowed us to do is make several changes. One, we decided to invite our resident alumni, one a year, at the mid-level faculty level to come and be a visiting professor. And that does a couple things for us. One, it allows us again to see our alumni, and secondly, it brings in some younger faculty, but it also shows our commitment to their continued academic development even after they are gone from the program. It's very important as people advance academically to demonstrate that they are developing a national reputation, and getting invited to speak somewhere is a great way to show that. So again, this also allows us to continue our commitment to our former residents. And then the second thing that looking at this data on a granular level allowed us to do is to better plan that we have diversity in our speakers, in the topics that are covered, and the surgical specialties that get represented. And now for an example of a D&I initiative. We currently have 4 active working groups developing recommendations for the department that promote and implement anti-racist policies or programs, and thereby also foster an inclusive environment. And our 4 working groups are in education, policy, professional development, and research. And I'll be very interested come October when their recommendations are due to see what these 4 working groups have come up with, but I think it's going to be really good. Importantly, each group is led by a resident and by a faculty member. So again, emphasizing that we do have the residents heavily involved in this work. One of the things that always comes up when we say that certain groups of people are underrepresented either in surgery or now more commonly in the upper echelons of leadership in surgery is a lack of role models. So I wanted to just show here a sample of some of the leadership roles held by our women or underrepresented minority faculty within the department, either roles in the department or in the school or our health system. So you'll see under the heading of department that several vice chairs and division chiefs are represented in this. Also some program directors in our fellowship programs, and our clerkship director for the 3rd year medical students in surgery is a woman. And then on the School of Medicine and the health system side, the vice president of the entire clinical staff is one of our women faculty. We also have people as medical directors of clinical wards and service line leads. And then one of our Black faculty is both the Associate Chief Medical Officer for Clinical Integration for the entire health system, and was asked by the president of the university to co-chair the UVA Community Working Group. So there are role models for our residents to see in these upper leadership positions. So again, for diversity and inclusion, our department wants to foster a community where inclusiveness becomes the norm, where we recognize and value the interdependence of inclusion and excellence in all aspects of our mission. And lastly, that we strive for a sense of belonging for all. And I wanted to just show you this next slide that quotes Brené Brown. She's a psychologist, and she describes the difference between belonging and fitting in. And belonging is being somewhere where you want to be and they want you. Fitting in is being somewhere where you want to be, but they don't care one way or the other. And again, our goal is to make sure that all of our faculty, staff, and residents feel that they belong in our department. Thank you.
Dr. Fleming.
Thank you. All right. So my name is Marky, and I'll be talking about some of the trainee level diversity initiatives that myself and other residents and house staff members have been involved with from the surgery department. So the first one is a visiting 4th year scholarship for students who are underrepresented in medicine. And when I came in 2017 as an intern, I was fortunate enough to have benefited from such scholarships at other departments. And after talking with Dr. Friel, he was, immediately receptive to approaching the chair of our department with this initiative to get one started here as well. And so we worked together on this and was able to launch it in a couple months. I believe a few students have benefited from that, although now that COVID has hit, obviously, that has fallen off for now, but it's still available. And you can find it on the GME website, where it links to all of the sort of diversity and inclusion initiatives for all the departments. Another role that has come about in the last few years was that of the wellness chief. And so one of our chiefs every year takes on that role to promote wellness amongst our residency program. And so that includes planning social events, setting up, what's that word called? Treasure hunts, putting out lists of activities that we can do around Charlottesville and in other areas where we rotate, such as the Salem VA. And also just responding to the overall climate of the residency as we move through the year. And so if we experience any sort of traumatic events or other struggles and things like that, they're able to read the room and respond to that appropriately, leading things like mindfulness workshops and other discussions around sort of overall mental and emotional wellness. And then on the GME level, the surgery department has also been involved in the diversity days. And so again, pre-COVID, these were days that were set up around interviews for residency programs. And so if you came to an interview in person in December, for example, GME would most likely have a diversity day like that Saturday after your interview that you can attend to talk more about and learn more about the diversity and inclusion initiatives at the GME level, which is graduate medical education. That's sort of the office that oversees all residency programs. And similarly, we also, as former president of HCDI, I was involved with the Second Look event. I apologize for the typo there, where after applicants have had their interviews and are sort of working on their match list, we would host a Second Look event in February where you can come back, and most of the time we're able to offer paid travel and accommodations for those applicants who are strongly interested in UVA to take a second look at UVA and sort of dive into a more in-depth discussion with people like the Dean of the School of Medicine, and as well as getting to interact with more surgery residents and the other applicants from other departments as well can interact with the residents from those departments. So, between the diversity days and the Second Look, yes, we're talking about diversity and inclusion initiative, but it also gave you another opportunity as a student or an applicant to interact with us and learn more about what we do on that side of things. And then one of our former chiefs who just graduated, Dr. Ali Martin, and myself, we were able to found and pull off a trainee diversity and inclusion conference. And we were able to do that in 2018 and 2019. And we're currently working on planning this in a virtual form for this upcoming November. But this conference was essentially focused on, over the last 2 years, focused on actionable items that House staff members and trainees can use to navigate this environment that is predominantly white, predominantly cisgendered, heterosexual environment. And when faced with situations of discrimination or bias or implicit bias or microaggressions, however you want to name it, we came up with actionable items that you could use as a trainee to pivot in those situations and hopefully, navigate it successfully, and also advise you on how to take it up the chain of command, et cetera. And then the second year of that conference, we focus more on advocacy. And so, what does it mean to advocate for yourself as a trainee who is underrepresented in medicine? And what does it mean to advocate for your patients who may also face discrimination in the health system? And so those first 2 years were very successful, and we're hoping to be able to pull off a virtual version of this this coming November. So stay tuned or keep an eye out for that on the GME website if you're interested. And I've mentioned the House Staff Council for Diversity and Inclusion. I know Christine on here is also a part of it. And I was former president. Ali Martin was heavily involved as our treasurer and in planning the TDIC. And so surgery residents are very, very involved on the GME level in leadership roles, you know, leading these initiatives as well. So if you wanted to learn more about the House Staff Council for Diversity and Inclusion specifically, you can also see that link through the GME website, and you'll see a lot of the surgery residents' faces, because for us, that work runs parallel to our clinical work, and we're very proud of that. And one of our current chiefs, Dr. Amy Cohey, identified a need for trainees who are parents, even pre-COVID, who just needed additional support. And so with GME funding and obviously the support of the surgery department, she was able to get a house staff parent resource group up and running, where, you know, she could help advise other house staff members on certain things they can do to help navigate their childcare experiences and streamline that process for them. And so, you know, hopefully by going through these initiatives here, you can see that as surgery residents, not only are we invested in our education and our research and the department as a whole, but we also function within the greater unit of the health system in leading a lot of these initiatives. And they really do listen to what we have to say and support us fully in those endeavors. And now the rest of this will be photos. And so I apologize if I show up in a lot of them, because these came from my phone, but I did try to mix it up. And so here you can see a bunch of residents, myself, Eric and Delaney and Nate, one of our former chiefs and MIS fellow, teaching high school students who came as part of a summer medical leadership program hosted by SNMA. And we were able to, we volunteer every year to teach them different procedures and suturing and surgical knot tying and stuff on cadaver skin. And then this is another project that just ended this past weekend that I was fortunate to lead with HCDI. This is a STEM box project where Dr. Friel, Dr. Martin, and a bunch of surgery residents, one of our fellows and former chiefs here, but all these folks in this room are surgery people who showed up this past Saturday at 10 a.m. to pack boxes and organize supplies for Charlottesville City School elementary students for 2 hours, and really helped us get this project over the finish line. And we're able to complete packing 2,200 boxes in less than a week, which was awesome. So our faculty really do show up for us, and they're very, very approachable. Here we have 3 of our trauma and critical care surgeons, you know, hanging out with me in the ICU when I was on trauma. And they really help foster this environment that allows us to approach them and build relationships with them that can help you navigate the space, especially when you're struggling. And then on the right there, you can see they do dress up as well during Dr. Hollowell's clinic this past December. This is Matt Mullen, a former chief, and Taryn, one of our current chiefs, and then Evan is an I6 resident here. So just a lot of fun in different settings. And I had to zoom in on that because I just love that picture so much, but we have a lot of fun. And then here we have our snack basket on the left side. Kristen is gracious enough and lovely to deliver us snacks every week, which helps get you through those tough days. And when you can't exactly get down to the cafeteria to grab some food, you can eat something in between cases until you can eat something more nutritious later. And then when you're covering on the holidays, Dr. Shermer always brings us a seafood platter during Christmas and New Year's, and he would deliver it personally every year to the workroom for us to enjoy. And we look forward to that. So just some more pictures here in different settings. Always got to get a cameo with Dr. Mike Williams. This is Courtney and Ali Martin. Courtney's on this call right now. And then this is a bunch of us in the trauma bay. I think we were hanging out waiting for a trauma to come in. And I was like, why not snap a picture? We love to hang out with our faculty and our attendings. So on the left side, you can see some of us at the Academic Surgical Congress this past February, just before COVID hit, hanging out with Dr. Slingloff, one of our surgical oncologists, oncology surgeons and melanoma specialists. And then this is Dr. Shermer again. A bunch of us went to a brewery that was the grand opening of a brewery where he bought us all drinks and we had a good time. Staying track of time here. So this is one of the photos from the intern class when we had a little pool welcome party for them, barbecue in 2019. And like I said, we love to play. So this is my co-resident and classmate, Kevin Lynch, showing up in pajamas and then with his scrubs under it so he can rush to the OR. And, you know, most of the time you get to do this with your friends in Charlottesville, but you can also go out and kick off at Bebedero's where we spend we used to spend a lot of our time kicking off the night of fun. And Brazos is a delicious taco place that you can go in the morning. This is a picture of the interns, the interns from 2018, I think right before their end of the year trip, river trip, floating trip that they were doing. They went and grabbed some tacos and margaritas. Like I said, we love Bebedero's, that's my class. And we also love attending weddings. So Kevin Lynch got married and we were all his best men and his groomsmen, and we had a good time that night. This was Mackenzie's wedding where all the ladies took a photo. And here's Evan's wedding as well. So, you know, we get the chiefs and the program overall are very supportive in giving residents the time off to attend this stuff as long as you plan ahead. And as you can see, many of us attend one wedding. And so it's not like just a couple of us get to go. We also love to spend our time at vineyards, just continuing to build relationships and have fun. And we also like to go to Kevin's house to play in his brand new pool. So that's been a lot of fun this past summer when it got warm. Just some more pictures of us out doing things. And we were sending off the prelim residents from the intern class. They were going off to their respective programs. And so a bunch of us met up to grab some food. This is from our chief roast. This is a huge highlight of the year where all of the attendings cover our pages for one night and all of the residents get the time off to go and have, to celebrate the chiefs and celebrate one attending of the year and just have good food and good drinks and get to dress up as well. And then when we're not dressing up, we're dressing up formally, we're dressing up in costumes. Eric and I love to host parties. And so this is from our Halloween party. We pulled off the men and women in black pretty well, I would say. And then we had a pajama party as well, or onesie party. And then we like to eat and we eat some more. And we even meet up with, so John Davis was one of our former chiefs and he's now an attending here who has returned. And so when he got back into town, our class, we were interns at the time when he was a chief, met up with him and grabbed some food. And then on this side, Max decided to cook a very fancy gourmet dinner for us one night at his house because he just felt like it. So that was some tartare there on the board. We also love to grab ice cream and tube the river and attend basketball games and even play with Legos, honestly. So this was a shot I got of some grown surgery residents playing with Legos in Orlando, Florida when we attended a conference. And then we were meeting up with JB on this side when he came back to town, one of our former chiefs to visit. We also got to tour the animal kingdom, sort of like veterinary center while we were at that conference. And we also are heavily involved in social justice and activism and advocacy for human rights and Black lives for that matter. So Dr. Friel and everyone is just very supportive of us in pursuing what we want to do outside of the hospital. And that overall, in a nutshell, you know, helps to contribute to the vibrant culture we have in this residency program. And so to end with this picture of the current intern class, they had a little barbecue welcome thing at Heron's house. And I promise it was outside and they were wearing masks. They probably just took the masks off of this picture. Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. I hadn't seen most of those pictures. I'm a little jealous myself. Can I come back to residency? Can I go to some of those parties? So,
Every time we take a picture, we say it's for Dr. Friel.
yeah,
So
I kind of said, listen, I want to tweet it out. So can you guys give me a picture? But I really appreciate Marky kind of stressing this whole topic was diversity, inclusion, and culture, right? So it's a broad topic, and to me, culture is the big if you have a Venn diagram, culture is a big circle, and diversity and inclusion is part of that, right? So if you don't have a good culture, you're not going to be diverse. So it's a subset of it. It's incredibly important, and it's what makes us tick. You can't be excellent unless you're happy and you're part of that process, and we can't be excellent unless we're diverse, and we can't be and represent the people. Our department should represent and look like the people that we're treating, right? And we need to have those thoughts. We have to have those ability to kind of work with each other. Most of these ideas are certainly not mine, right? So I look to you. I look at all these faces out there, and I say, listen, I need help. I can't figure this out. I'm an old or white gentleman, right? Not even a gentleman, quite frankly. So I need your help to think of these things. I need your help to push this forward. And I'm eternally grateful to our residents that have done that for us from all walks of life. And so, and we just get better and better because of it. And I think we had a really great grand rounds today talking about this. We are in a unique position, in my humble opinion, coming from the University of Virginia. The University of Virginia does not have a great history, if you think about it, right? The father of our university enslaved people, and it just built from there. But because of that, we have a voice now that is unique, right? That we can say, listen, we can learn about our past, we can acknowledge our past, we can choose to reject that past, and we can build a better future. So, we look to welcome all of you to be a part of that future. So we weren't probably a little bit late, so I'm just gonna wind this down, and I know you may have questions, but I'm gonna let them ask the questions in the breakout rooms. And what I really want to say now is just thank you, right? So we've had 3 successive sessions. They'll all be recorded. They'll all be on the website if you want to review them. But we're super excited about the recruiting season and getting to know you in a different way. We're very proud of our culture and how we're going to best express that over a virtual format. I don't know how it's going to work, but Marky did a heck of a job right now. So with that, I think I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to allow myself and Dr. Sharon to kind of disappear and allow you to go out to the breakout rooms where you can once again kind of join our residents and talk about these issues and hopefully in an honest and a truthful way and get the answers that you deserve, not just from us, but from everywhere. So thank you again for joining us tonight and for the 2 previous sessions, and good luck with the recruiting season, and please keep in touch.